No, it still says, there you go.
Click the live button.
Now you are.
So we're going to start at the top.
Welcome to a nutty adventure exploring personal growth and wellness, breaking down the stigma around mental health along the way. Let's dive in because now it's time to show me your nuts.
Good morning and happy Tuesday, everybody. Welcome to the first show of Show Me Your Nuts. And in perfectly nutty fashion, apparently I had a glitch or two. And as a tech girl, tech happens to those of us who do tech as well as those who don't. So it made me throw me off a little bit, but that's okay. My name is Stacy Braiuca, and I am known as the Squirrel Wrangler because I guide humans to wrangle their inner squirrels of negative emotions, limiting beliefs, and self-doubt so that they can live in peace and in joy. And also, as the Squirrel Wrangler, I find lots of fun and unique ways to discuss the word nuts, one of which is really close to my heart, and that is to eliminate or crush stigma about mental health or mental illness issues by reclaiming that word nuts. So if you're in the chat, one of the hashtags is reclaim nuts. And so if you're sharing out the show, G, Teresa, Sacred Yen, Jessica, all the people that I know are watching, if you're in the chat, go ahead and, tell me how you reclaim your nuts or what you think of that hashtag. And if you share the show out, use that as a hashtag to help people understand why the name of the show is Show Me Your Nuts, because I realize that has lots of potential meanings. So there's plays on words and laughter are important in our lives in general. And reclaiming words that have negative connotations and negative stigma, especially in the arena of mental health and mental wellness, is vital for us to begin or to continue the conversation about mental wellness. I have a theory that it actually took a pandemic in order for us to discuss mental wellness as mental wellness and not in hushed tones behind closed doors and with the stigma of people who have challenges with their mental wellness. And as a clinical social worker and therapist of 30 years, God, I can't believe it's been that long. I've seen the tragedies and the triumphs of people dealing with their mental wellness. And you're going to hear me catch myself, but also want to use the word mental wellness because mental wellness applies to all of us. It applies to those who have challenges with their mental wellness, as well as those of us who may think we feel mentally well. And it took a pandemic for us to start discussing mental wellness in a different way than behind the closed doors, to where now there are more discussions about burnout, about self-care, about taking care of ourselves in general. And that's one of the premise behind the show, Show Me Your Nuts. It's not the only one. There's lots of different ways to talk about nuts and things we will get into over the course of time, as well as guests who are going to come and talk to us about nuts. One of the things, Henry Cameron, thank you for swinging by. I love seeing you there. And Susan, thank you. I did Destiny Charms Divination, thank you for coming. This is the first time I've done a live thing in a while, so I'm going to slip back and forth, and I'm going to accept that as the nutty way this show goes together. One of the other things about the Squirrel Wrangler is the Squirrel Wrangler lives in a place called Squirrels in Wonderland. And you'll notice over here next to me, you'll see a little bitty character, and that's Alice. Alice, of course, of Alice in Wonderland fame. But my Alice is a little different than Lewis Carroll's Alice. My Alice followed a squirrel down a hole in a tree. And then it spiraled down, and they are following adventures about their unconscious mind. They're learning about different parts and things about their unconscious mind in those travels. And so you might actually hear from or see different things from Squirrels in Wonderland. One segment of the show, which I'm going to give you a little glimpse into right now, is Alice. And let me find. Ruh-roh, Alice is pissed. Yes, Alice looks a little bit PO'd in this picture right here. And what she's pissed about is about some of the ways people are treated with mental wellness challenges, some of the policies and things that people have to deal with that challenge, accessing care, the challenges with that, the challenges with being able to get medications, with being stigmatized and treated differently. So we're going to have some guests on that help us talk to Alice about what she's pissed about. And some of that may get into some advocacy and legislation, and even maybe some hard discussions about differing beliefs on things. So that's Alice, and watch for her to show up. So let me see what's going on over here in the comments. Jessica says, reclaim those nuts. Henry Cameron put a whole bunch of hearts. Destiny Charms got saying it's an important topic, mental health awareness. I totally agree. It's I think at least 100 years too late. Although if you were thinking about what mental illness was 100 years ago, people were in facilities and institutions. There were chains. They were chained to walls and to beds. And there's actually a movement called Mental Health America, which is a national organization that works on mental health advocacy. And they actually have a bell that was cast from the chains. And I'm getting chills thinking about it. I've actually heard that bell ring. I was in DC and got to hear it. And it will it'll stop your breath when you hear it. They have a bell that is made from the chains that were melted down from those institutions. Gee, thank you for love the hashtag, and it's genius. And Teresa's headed to reclaiming her nuts. And I would be remiss if I did not, and I should have said from the beginning, how excited I am to be part of the Breakthrough Show Network. You guys just give some love in the chat for the Breakthrough Show Network and to its founder, Miss Jessica, who I love our discussions because you talk about whether you agree or don't agree on things, but we can come to understandings. That's what this stage is about. And it's partially because of the amazing discussions I love having with Jessica. And Destiny Charm is giving acorns and nuts. I love it. So we're here to reclaim our nuts. We're here to see how nutty we are. We're here to find all the innuendous words just to the edge of things, because there is a line still of what we're talking about when we're talking about nuts. We're talking about seriously that calling someone out for mental wellness or mental illness is not right. But using the word nuts, especially when talking about ourselves, is not necessarily wrong. So, some of the other people that might be around, I'm just going to give you one more person who might be around. And she may show up in person. I'm just going to warn you right now. So, meet my Aunt Ruth. Aunt Ruth, she's got questions. And Aunt Ruth is going to give you a question to think about and talk about after the show. And then I will bring that question and your answers back in a future show. If you would like to meet Aunt Ruth, I can put a link in the chat if I can get to the chat again. Wow, I'm running these all on my own. Hopefully there are people in the Go Brunch Theater watching this show right now, and they can chat about things. And as a matter of fact, there's at least one person who might be able to find Aunt Ruth's link handy, but I'm going to try and find it right now. Here we go. One moment, please. If you would like to meet Aunt Ruth, her link is swellcast.com/Aunt Ruth. And you can leave her a message there too. Because if I let her on stage, she might be here all day. And none of us got time for that. RJ Redden is in the house. We definitely have a party now. And G. Catherine White. I think I know that name. Thank you for coming to the show. I appreciate you more than words can come up with. There's not enough words in the life. So, what kind of nut are you? Oh, new hashtags are being born in the chat as we speak. So, I am going to quickly show us a commercial while I take a sip of water.
Breakthroughs are about more than you might think. They're about discovering who you are, digging deep, reaching to the core of your soul. They're about healing yourself, understanding your beliefs, creating a ripple effect. And it's not just those initial moments that matter. It's about using them to bring more joy into our own lives It's about having fun, letting loose, enjoying every moment life has to offer. It's about finding a safe space. It's about creating connection. Join us each and every day for exclusive programming, special events, and a community to call home, where we invite you to explore, change the way you look at and live your life, and go beyond the breakthrough. So we ask you, are you ready? We'll see you online at thebreakthroughshow.com.
Okay, was anybody else dancing? If you were dancing, are you going to admit it? I was. Because sometimes you feel like a nut and sometimes you don't. I never thought I'd say thank you for commercials, but I needed just a quick little brain break right there. Which in and of itself is kind of a lesson in mental wellness. And I think that's one of the lessons that COVID brought to light is taking care of ourselves. Reclaiming our nuts is also reclaiming how we care for ourselves and for others. So how is it you do self-care? Now, if somebody puts in that they go get their nails done or they go to the spa, that is not the only kind of self-care. Don't even get me started. Oh, but is eating nuts self-care? No. I'm being silly because I'm being distracted by the comments and reading everybody's favorite nuts. If you were to name your self-care based on nuts, what would it be? So if you were to name if your self-care is cashews, what's your self-care? And it's kind of like those things on Facebook where it's give your birthday month and your favorite food, and that's your new stripper name. So give your favorite nut and your favorite self-care, and that is your new nutty name. 3,000. Oh, that deserves some love. 3,269 consecutive days of daily meditation. I am bowing. Susan, we need to chat about how to establish that kind of practice, because I'm still learning my best ways of meditation. And then, of course, I cannot not put this one I have to put up. I have to, you guys. Cashew quilt. Not only is cashew quilt perfect, but the squirrel has a quilt of cashews. And if it's handy, and I don't believe it is. Oh, if it's handy, I could show you the squirrel's quilt of cashews. But alas, it may not be as handy as I wanted it to be. Ah, it is. I'm going to show you guys the squirrel's cashew quilt, because I am so excited about this quilt. You guys, that is a cashew quilt right there. That right there is a cashew quilt. Every ounce, every stitch of that thing was made with love. So now that I'm gonna cry on my on my own show, and you can see that spontaneity is a thing here. Sometimes to the point of chasing squirrels. But sometimes it's good to chase the squirrel around and get a little bit nutty because you don't know where you'll end up. And that's where the creativity comes in. Wrangling squirrels is not just about keeping them in one place. It's about putting them in their cages when they need to be put in their cages, but putting them in cages safely and comfortably so that they're there when you need them. It's also about embracing them when they're there, when you get a little bit nutty, because we all need that moment of joy and that moment of laughter. And the other thing we need is connection. So today's show and the next couple of shows is going to be about connection. Every month's going to have a theme. This is connection. And July is going to be about freedom. So crying is what we do. Yeah, everybody get Kleenex to go with the show because get Kleenex. And I probably need to turn the chat off because it's gonna squirrel me out too much. But we need those squirrel moments for our creativity. The squirrels know about creativity because of that. They also know about planning by hiding their nuts. They also know about connection by playing with each other. And so connection is one of the things we're here in this life for. Connection brought this show together. I told you that one of the things that the reason I'm doing the show on the Breakthrough Show Network is because of Jessica and because of the connection that we made when we met. Don't get me wrong, we're definitely two different people, and that's the cool part. That's the diversity part, is you can have different beliefs, opinions, and choices and decisions in your life and have connection. You can have those things because we're on this planet to learn about our emotions, to make connections with others, to learn about our emotions, to find joy, and to learn how to navigate things with each other. So we're here for that connection. I don't in this life currently have an understanding of what lives are other than this life on this planet as a human, but I can imagine. And when you think about things from that level, you begin to get a better understanding or appreciation for the fact that if there are other kinds of lives and if there is something other than this, you can begin to appreciate the connections and the things we do in this life differently. And that's another part of what I want to bring to this show is connection. So certainly you're not just going to be seeing me in this chair. You're going to be seeing other people in the other two chairs. And if you happen to know what Go Brunch is, or even if you don't, you can watch the show at showmeyournuts.live. And when you go to watch.showmeyournuts.live, you will see this theater and you will be able to watch the show with other people. And hopefully they're having raucous laughter over there right now. So if you're over there in the theater, give me some theater love and let me know what's going on there. And after the show, those of you who are in the theater, after the show, you can also get a backstage pass, because I'm going to do a live meet and greet during after mini shows, and it will be in a special undisclosed location, and you can get your backstage pass from in the theater. You'll see that link. And I'll give you a link at the end of the show where you can also go get your backstage pass. So connections, I'm going to give a quick story about connection and well, I think I've already given you a story on connection and its meaningful impact, but I think when we connect with other people, we connect based on maybe one initial thing, but then we find out other things about each other. So we may connect because we're on the same social platform, and maybe we both like technology. And so we get to talking about that thing that we both share that we love. And then we find out later that we also both like problem solving and using that technology to solve problems. And yes, I'm speaking of somebody who's in the audience, at least one person, if not a couple, because I'm kind of a geek girl and I like that. But then we find out other things about people that we really appreciate the same. And one of the people I'm thinking of is I found out that after we got connected that way, then we found out that we both used to work at universities. And then we found out that we'd both been through that hell of working in a university. And then we found out then I followed that person to not only other platforms that they were on, but I followed them to other groups and other learning. And I'll call them out once in a while in certain groupings and say it's their fault that I've learned X, Y, and Z. And I'll call it a fault, but it's all in love. So it's like reclaiming the word fault to mean I appreciate you. And I'm glad to have met you, because I would not have learned those things without you. And so that's another example of how a connection, and that particular person I met 10 years ago. And I've met them in person a couple times, met them online, met them in person a couple of different times through those 10 years. But now I talk to them at least 5 or 6 times a week, if not almost daily, because some of our work is now coming together. And it started by just meeting somebody on an online platform. And I think people ask, oh my gosh, how do you meet somebody on an online platform and they end up, how can you have good friendships or connections with somebody online? Well, it's like this right here. I can see you, you can see me. Well, you guys can see me, I can see you in the chat. But those are what makes connection is communication and respect and trust. If you can respect the other individual and be in integrity and truthful about what you're communicating with them and do no harm, you can connect to people who have different beliefs, ideals, and values than you. Now, they might not have completely different beliefs, ideals, and values, because really, we all have something that we agree on. And in this world, at this moment, with the divisiveness that has been sown, sometimes on purpose, we can connect with each other. And the connecting is what's going to give us healing. And so connection is the word of the month for Show Me Your Nuts. And I want to talk more in our next episode about that connection and how we can do those things with and for each other. And I'm looking at next week's theme. We're going to talk more about deep connection, about deepening our connection with ourselves, about breaking through isolation, about more about shared humanity, and ways to reach out when you're struggling. That is just a glimpse of next week. And then I know in future weeks, we're also going to have some guests that are speaking about, when we get into freedom, we're going to have a couple of guests. We've got a couple already. Oh, thank you so much for writing that. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button on the Breakthrough Show Network. There are some amazing shows on the platform, on that network. But besides the shows, there are also community events. So Breakthrough Show Network is more than just a network of shows. It is also a community of connected individuals who appreciate each other, who care for each other, who watch out for each other, and who get into some deep conversations. One of the community events is a connection event on Saturday mornings, and it's a coffee event, and people come in, and then the door gets locked, and then we have a topic that we go deep in. So maybe next week maybe I'll have a guest on about that, and we'll talk a little bit more about how that deepens our connections. So make sure you hit the subscribe button on YouTube if you're watching on the Breakthrough Show Network's YouTube, or if you're watching in the theater. Then the Breakthrough Show Network.club is how you can find, and I'm going to show that comment so that you guys get to see that link. Go to the Breakthrough Show Network.club, and you can learn more about the Breakthrough Show Network all the way around. The information for Show Me Your Nuts is at showmeyournuts.online. And that also is directly on the Breakthrough Show Network page. So let me make sure I have covered what I wanted you guys to hear. So today you learned who Alice is. You learned who Aunt Ruth is. Alice, Aunt Ruth, and you learned about getting a backstage pass. I love that I can peek from behind these. And you learned about watching the show on watch.showmeyournuts.live. I want to know, so Aunt Ruth's got questions, and I'm going to talk to her and find out what her question of the week is and let you guys know. Maybe next week I'll find out if she's got it. This week, I think just meet her. And next week I'm going to ask her, what's her question of the week, and let you know during the show. This week, it's get your backstage pass and let me know what your biggest connection, what's your biggest nutty connection in life. And I will see you next week. Show Me Your Nuts .online. And I appreciate everybody who's been in the chat. Okay, my feels are coming up. I appreciate you guys. And I Want to tell you thank you for joining me on this nutty journey. And remember that the magic of Wonderland is inside you. Until next week, keep your feels going and stay nutty. And I will see you next Tuesday at 10 a.m. Eastern, 9 Central, 8 Mountain, and 7 Pacific. Thank you again.
Thank you for joining us on this nutty adventure. Remember, personal growth and wellness are journeys best taken together. Keep exploring, keep growing, and don't forget to show me your nuts next time.